What's going on, guys? So I'm back with another Raw Talk video. Today, I want to talk about why a lot of people procrastinate and never end up starting, which results them to actually fail. But this is my second Raw Talk video, and a big shout out to my boy Max. I'm gonna put his page in the description. Be sure to check him out, subscribe to his channel because he is actually the reason why I started doing this in the first place. He persuaded me, convinced me, influenced me, whatever you want to say, right? So his page is gonna be in the description. Be sure to subscribe to him. And that's the whole theme of this, right? Is sometimes we do need motivation. And that's why I'm doing these videos, is because maybe one of you will see my video and be like, damn, I need to start, I need to get on my shit, and I don't know. But I think a lot of people tend to procrastinate simply because they seek comfort, right? And I understand it, but I can't excuse it because I used to be that guy, and I technically I am that guy in some categories, right? Like I said, with this video or the last video, these type of videos, I didn't want to make them, but my boy Max was like, "You gotta make them," like you're just making excuses, and he called me out of my bullshit. And guess what? This is my second video, and we got the ball rolling. So sometimes, yes, we do need motivation, and I hope this video can serve as motivation to you, but a lot of people tend to procrastinate for the simple fact that they think they need to have it all figured out or they need to have all the plans and everything. But the truth is, you just need to fucking start. You know, all of that you're saying is because you're trying to find a reason not to do the thing that you really want to do. And like I said, I was technically doing that with these types of videos. I was like, damn, this might be cringy. This might be XYZ. I'm looking for all types of excuses not to do these types of videos because it just made me feel so uncomfortable. But guess what? That comfort zone, as we all know, it's a killer, right? The more you seek comfort, the more you're never gonna get anything accomplished because you have to take action, right? Do you really want to be like everybody else? Because everybody else is seeking comfort. So if you could just be that person that doesn't seek the comfort, right? That actually looks to be in uncomfortable situations, that looks to do the stuff that makes them uncomfortable, then I'm telling you, you could succeed. You could lap motherfuckers because a lot of them are looking to be coddled. Now, a lot of you don't really know much about my fitness journey and how I started, but listen, when I first started, I will say maybe I had it better than most because I did have a friend to start going to the gym with. But even if you don't have somebody to go with right now, I still don't think you have an excuse because you can't use the excuse like, oh, I'm just nervous, I'm shy, I don't want to start. Like, that's not an excuse. You know what I mean? And you have so many resources at your disposal. Like, you could just easily get a coach and get a trainer, something like that, if you're really willing to invest in yourself. If you really can't do it by yourself, right? But the excuse of not having everything figured out, not having a plan, that's not an excuse because you can figure it out, right? You can figure it out. All you have to do is just start, and then as you go, you'll just adjust, And so with me, like I was saying, right, I started out and then I was working out with my bro. So I did have that to kind of help me out. But eventually I started going out on my own, right? Like I actually had to start going on my own because he kind of like slacked off a little bit. And that's the thing, right? When you rely on somebody to actually get you in the gym, that is a recipe for disaster. When you rely on somebody to get you to do anything in life, that is a recipe for disaster because guess what? What happens when they can't show up? That means you can't show up. So that means you're relying on them. If they show up, you show up. If they don't show up, you don't show up. What if they got stuff going on and they can't go for an entire month, entire 2 months, or just overall? Now you're at their mercy. And guess what? That sucks. That's why you have to create that consistency and that discipline by yourself. You can't rely on people to get things started, to get things going. Sure, motivation is great. It's great to have that person there with you to motivate you and push you, but you have to learn how to be self-disciplined and self-motivated. And that's what I had to do. I started going by myself. I'm like, listen, I don't need to be there with somebody. I'm sure I could figure it out. And guess what? I did figure it out. And now I'm in a position to actually help multiple people, which I've helped multiple people get started and get amazing results. But if I never actually built that self-discipline, built that self-motivation, I would have never been in a position to do so, you know? And that's why I'm saying it's like a lot of people procrastinate, but you can't procrastinate. You can't rely on somebody else. You have to do this by yourself, you know? And don't get me wrong, it's great to have coaching. You should have coaching, I think, actually. Like, you should have coaching because that's going to really give you a game plan shorten the learning curve for you. But again, you have to build that self discipline, that self motivation, so that way you're not at somebody's mercy. When they can't show up for you, you can show up for yourself, right? And I think that's what a lot of people are lacking is simply they just don't start. Like action is the key to everything. You just take action. Like that's really all it is. Like, and one thing I could say is I've definitely built myself up to the point where now I can do almost, actually not almost, I can do anything that I want to, right? I may try to find excuses here and there, but eventually I'm gonna talk myself out of it and be like, yo, you're being a bitch right now. And it's just the truth. Sometimes you gotta call yourself out on your bullshit, be like, yo, I'm being a bitch right now, you know, and do the fucking thing anyways, because that's the only way you're gonna grow. That's the only way you're gonna get better. That's the only way you're gonna improve is if you just take action, call yourself out on your bullshit, because there's no, the comfort just doesn't bring any success. It doesn't do anything for you. I hope you guys found this helpful in some way. I just pulled up the camera and started talking. So a lot of it might not even make sense. It might not connect, but I don't know. I just wanted to talk some shit and hope somebody finds this helpful.